I'm Eddie Muller. Welcome to TCM, where all summer long I've been taking the reins on Friday nights for our Summer of Darkness, weekly forays into the shadowy world of film noir. Only this time, it's personal. Because most of the films I'm showing come from a list I curated years ago for my website, eddiemuller.com. Up first this evening is a film considered by many to be the film noir version of Romeo and Juliet. From RKO in 1948, it's They Live by Night. Farley Granger and Kathy O'Donnell star as a young couple on the run from the law, a soon-to-be popular subgenre of crime films. But this one predates, by decades, such descendants as Bonnie and Clyde, Sugarland Express, Boxcar Bertha, and Badlands. The film is based on the book Thieves Like Us by Edward Anderson, which was originally published in 1937. At that time, Anderson sold the film rights for a paltry $500 to independent producer Roland Brown, but Brown struggled to get it made, no doubt because he couldn't get a treatment past the Production Code Administration, which had a problem with the amount of sex and criminal activity in the story. In 1941, Brown sold the rights to RKO for $10,000. Nice profit. But RKO would also struggle to generate something that would work for the censors. Years later, producer John Houseman, who had a contract at RKO, took a look at that story. He immediately sensed it would be the perfect project to bring his friend Nicholas Ray to Hollywood. They had worked together doing theater in New York, and Houseman thought Ray had the right temperament and the exceptional visual and aural artistry to be a filmmaker. Good intuition, Mr. Houseman. Right off the bat, you'll see an example of Ray's fresh approach with a helicopter shot that runs under the opening credits. Shots like these are commonplace today, now done by drones. But in the mid-40s, the idea of strapping a huge camera to the belly of a helicopter and following a speeding car down a dusty road was a little nuts. Clearly a crackpot notion dreamed up by somebody who had never made a film before. But Houseman had faith in Ray and gave him the green light, while warning him that if it didn't work, they'd probably both be fired. Well, it worked, of course, and Nick Ray's filmmaking career was off and running, although it was slightly delayed here in the States, which I'll explain after the film. Here are Farley Granger as a prison escapee on the run and Kathy O'Donnell as the gas station attendant who helps him keep on running. From 1948, They Live by Night. They Live by Night was made during a rather tumultuous time for RKO Radio Pictures. Lots of changes in top management slowed down production, not just of They Live by Night, but all the films in development at the studio. When a new boss comes in, they often don't want anything to do with the current slate of projects. Happened in the 1940s, and it still happens today. Producer John Houseman was persistent and patient. The first time the project was delayed, he simply took a leave of absence from his RKO contract and went back to New York to produce some theater. Once things had settled down at RKO, with Dory Sherry taking over as the head of production, Houseman returned to Hollywood and immediately got They Live by Night back into development. He was able to steer the film through to completion, only for another change at the top to pull the rug out from under them. Billionaire playboy Howard Hughes bought the studio. Now, Dory Sherry had no desire to work with the new boss, so he resigned, leaving They Live by Night in limbo. A British release was arranged in 1948, where the film was a sleeper hit. It also was shown in the home screening rooms of many industry bigwigs, the 1948 equivalent of people streaming it via an internet link. It generated so much buzz that Hughes reluctantly agreed to a 1949 release of the film here in the States, finally giving American audiences their first taste of Nicholas Ray as a filmmaker. Up next, the Summer of Darkness continues with another story of a couple on the run. And if you thought Keechie and Bowie were wild, what do you get a load of Bart and Annie? Gun Crazy is next on TCM.
Next on TCM, Gun Crazy, then Night in the City, and later, Body Heat. TCM needs a cold shower tonight.